is a wonderful band to have hanging around to knock out just tons of different exercises, both bilaterally as well as unilaterally. You know, I showed you guys yesterday a ton of exercises that you could do with a Thunderband. But now I'm going to come back to you and show you some unique things you can do because of the double length of this band that you may not think about. And then remember, we're talking about one band that is by itself that weighs about 2 pounds. So let me go ahead and unhook it because I just got done knocking out a bunch of different exercises. But let me show you what I was doing. First of all, we've got this double length band. And we know that it is 5 millimeters thick versus 4.5. We know that it's about 74 inches long versus 41. Which means that essentially when we go ahead and we move it into both hands, so I grab both ends, we are now talking about a band that has the same length as a standard band, or pretty close. So we can go ahead, wrap that band right around a band utility strap, or in this case my post, and guess what? We can go right into doing a lot of bilateral work. So now you can go ahead and pop it up, and you can go into simple chest presses. You can go ahead and turn it around and go right into simple pulls. If you want to go aggressively, bring it up higher on your pull, drop down, and go ahead and go into some simple alternating overhead presses or bilateral overhead presses. Now again, double the length, double the resistance, but guess what? Because it is double length, you can knock right out into doing a lot of double leg or bilateral activities with a very aggressive heavy band. Now that's not going to be for everybody, but you know what? If you like to go heavy, this is a great option, and bang, you're into it, all right? You're right away into it. Now let's go ahead and let's loop it on there. Let me show you what else you can do with this. Because it's double length, that means the starting resistance is going to be easier than if it was a standard 41-inch band of similar thickness and similar width. As a result of that, you can do a lot of offset unilateral training. For instance, you can drop this band right into here. Because it's wider, it fits into your hand, very comfortable, you don't need a handle, and right away you can go into doing a lot of one arm type training, or obviously you can drop in here and start doing a lot of unilateral pulling. Obviously you can go ahead and drop right in and go overhead pressing as well. But let's not stop there. Because of the length, I can go ahead and treat it like it's a towel or a handle, grab it with my offhand and work some rotational pressing. But because of its length, it's going to be an easier starting position. Now, this band is not for everybody. It's a tough band. It's going to challenge you. But to have this band around to go ahead and just knock out numerous exercises simply because, number one, it's double length. Therefore, the starting resistance is easier, and I can do certain exercises like triceps, single arm pushing, single arm pulling, because the resistance is lighter. But then I can double it up when I'm doing aggressive heavy exercises like heavy bilateral pushing or pulling. One other thing that's kind of cool is I like to go ahead and just work at putting myself inside the band. Good starting resistance, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge myself by incorporating some simple things like reverse lunges and presses. Now what that's going to do is it's going to really activate my trunk. So now I'm going to go ahead and really have to work on total body stabilization. Alright, you can go ahead and do that same thing, pressing overhead. And I'm telling you, when you get overhead, you better be ready because the trunk is going to be major league challenged. So some simple reverse lunge, overhead press. But again, because it's a horizontal vector, it's going to be as much a trunk exercise as it is a shoulder stabilization exercise. It's not going to be your traditional overhead press exercise. Obviously, the last thing we can do is, hey, when I get tired, I'm just going to go ahead and sit on down, and I can do some simple kneeling, all right? Some simple overhead type work in kneeling, Or I can even go all the way down, drop into a nice supine position, work some bilateral curls, and those types of movements. So again, I showed you a lot of exercises the other day you can do with bands. Maybe I just duplicated a couple of those, but the point I'm trying to make is this. If you got a lot of bands laying around, but you don't have a Thunderband, you might want to think about it, because you know what? Not only is this band going to allow you to train a lot of movements, it's going to be a very aggressive band if you want it to be, or it's going to be a very easy band if you want it to be, based on the length and the starting resistance. And lastly, it's so light that, you know what? When I travel, if I know that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have something I can attach it to, I'm going to throw this along with a band utility strap in my bag, and that day, that travel, I'm going heavy. Because you know what? I got a lot of band here to work with, but I got a lot of versatility because of its length. Thunderband, think about it. Might be something you want to add into your resistance band arsenal if you haven't already.